The Gentari Empire had conquered 302 star systems without breaking a sweat. Their soldiers wore living armor, their warships bent light, and their high command dined on molecular cuisine while plotting planetary subjugation between courses. So, when their strategic division proposed abducting 5 young human women from Earth as leverage, it was considered a low-risk, high-return operation. In the words of Commander Dalther, a light diplomatic nudge, seasoned with terror. The girls were targeted with precision, daughters of Earth's most influential figures. Political leaders, military geniuses, economic juggernauts. Pluck them from their pampered human lives. Then wait for Earth's predictable whimpering. A few sanctions lifted, a few planets seeded, and maybe, just maybe, a fresh servant class imported from the blue planet. The Gentari didn't fear humanity. They barely respected it. And that was their first mistake. The abductions were executed simultaneously. 5 sleek interceptors, cloaked in quantum shadows, hovered invisibly above their respective targets. In Dallas, in Berlin, in Kyoto, in Johannesburg, and just outside a beachside mansion in Malibu. Extraction was quick, efficient, and, for one crew, slightly confusing. "Commander," croaked a comms officer on Interceptor Unit 7. "The human girl is resisting. Verbally. She's a teenager, Grask." "That's all they do," Dalther said, swirling her luminescent wine. "No, Commander, she's mocking us." On the screen appeared Lexi Monroe, daughter of Earth's president, seated cross-legged inside the holding cell. Her expression was calm. Too calm. She smirked. "Oh, you guys are adorable. Is this a cosplay convention? What's next? An alien talent show? Wait, don't tell me. You think this is scary?" "Silence, creature," barked a guard. Lexi tilted her head. "Ah, you're trying. That's cute. Listen, can you tell my dad I'll be home late? Also, you're going to want to reinforce that door. I'm not great with captivity." In the Gentari capital, High Command was unimpressed with the report. "Humans are erratic. Their neurological structures are chaotic at best," said Supreme Strategist Threll. "A species ruled by hormones and nostalgia. They'll cave." They hadn't. Within 3 hours of the abductions, Earth broadcast a single, encrypted transmission through galactic diplomatic channels. It was encoded in a polite, ancient Gentari dialect. It read, "We understand you have taken 5 of our young citizens. We kindly request their return. No hard feelings. You have 7 hours. After that, the situation becomes less manageable." Commander Dalther laughed. Not a chuckle, a full-bodied, operatic laugh that shook her shoulder pads. "They are bluffing. What could one planet possibly do?" "Perhaps we should," started a junior tactician, but she was already waving dismissively. "Relax. Their bark is worse than their bite." But no one had told her how Earth had evolved its teeth. Inside the holding chamber, the girls were already working. One of them, Amira, a cybersecurity prodigy and daughter of Earth's intelligence director, had disassembled her boot and was using the heel insert to short-circuit the force field interface. Chloe, a military brat and daughter of General Hawthorne, was running laps in the cell, doing push-ups between circuits. "Why are you working out?" asked Crix, the young Gentari jailer, confused. "Because when this door opens," Chloe grunted, "I don't want to be rusty." Crix turned to his superior. "They're not panicking. They're planning." "Let them," the guard scoffed. "What can 5 unarmed girls do?" They didn't know humans trained their children like wolves. Over in cell block 3, Sophia, the daughter of Earth's top tech CEO, was explaining Earth economics to a confused alien scholar. "You built your entire system on abstract credits backed by nothing?" the scholar asked. Sophia nodded. "And yet somehow you owe us money." The alien blinked. It was subtle, deliberate, calculated. 5 girls from 5 corners of the world, uniting without speaking, pulling psychological threads, mapping weaknesses. Not just surviving captivity, studying it. Every Gentari who interacted with them left a little more unsettled. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Council of Allied Nations had convened beneath Mount Athos in a bunker older than 3 wars. Their leader, Dr. Halvorson, stood at the center of the war room, hands folded behind his back. He wore a beige sweater and kind eyes. He looked like someone's favorite uncle. His tone was warm. His words were anything but. "They have touched what is ours," he said softly. "They've taken blood. That means they've declared intentions, even if they don't understand them yet." General Hawthorne adjusted his tie. "They believe we'll send a delegation." "Oh, we will," Halverson smiled. "But not the kind that shakes hands." The room buzzed with cold efficiency. Humanity hadn't been caught off guard. They had just been waiting for a reason. Hours passed. The Gentari grew impatient. "No response yet?" Dalther snapped. "Just another transmission. From one Captain Marcus Voss." "It's marked as a dinner invitation." Dalther scoffed. "They think this is a game." But the file was more than a message. When opened, it triggered a low-level system glitch that caused a 10-minute blackout in the planetary defense grid. Minor, almost undetectable, unless you were looking. During those 10 minutes, a human vessel slipped through. It didn't appear on scanners. It didn't make a sound. And aboard it were 12 operatives wearing nothing Earth-standard. No armor. No HUDs. Just silence and knives and a shared history of ending wars before they began. Captain Marcus Voss leaned back in his drop seat, chewing on a toothpick. "Remember," he said to his team, "we're not here to scare them. We're here to confuse them." One of the rookies blinked. "Sir, if they fear us, they fight back. If they think we're insane, they hesitate. Let's make them hesitate." Above, the Gentari Admiralty stared at the transmission's final line. "Dinner's warm. Your move." Some scoffed. Others started to worry. Back in the cells, Lexi turned to Amira. "You feel that? The shift in air pressure?" Amira said, "Yeah. Someone just docked." Chloe stood. 7 hours almost up. "Guess we're not negotiating." Sophia grinned. "Daddy always said diplomacy is just war with hors d'oeuvres." Maya, the fifth girl, a linguistics prodigy and daughter of Earth's top diplomat, stood near the corner, muttering in ancient Gentari dialect. The words were benign on the surface, but, if translated fully, encoded layered psychological traps. The guards were growing quiet. One of them whispered the phrases in their sleep. And outside the cells, human boots touched alien steel. It began with a soft hum, then silence. Then the door opened. Lexi looked up. "You're late." Captain Voss stepped in. "Dinner traffic." He tossed her a datapad. She caught it without looking. "Navigation. Updates every 12 seconds." "Good. We're running out of witty insults." Amira tapped her wristband. "Force fields down. I installed the virus in their security logs. It'll make them think we're still in here." Chloe cracked her knuckles. "Then let's go deliver a thank you gift." The girls walked out like they owned the place. The guards, watching from monitors, couldn't move, couldn't speak. They had no orders for this. Nothing in their protocols prepared them for humans walking unarmed into danger like they were bored. Back in the Gentari capital, an emergency meeting was called. "They've infiltrated our flagship," one general barked. "They're not even cloaked," another stammered. Dalther stood frozen. "They said 7 hours." A junior aide looked at the timestamp. "It's hour 6. The screen went dark. Back in the hallway, Voss grinned. "1 more hour. Then we show them what late fees look like." The Gentari had thought the abductions would be easy. They were wrong. And the clock was still ticking. The Gentari High Council gathered inside the crystalline spire of Dreshnal, a structure that shimmered with synthetic elegance and imperial pride. The atmosphere inside, however, was anything but composed. The circular chamber buzzed with clipped conversations, hasty data flickers, and the occasional frustrated screech in untranslated dialects. On the grand central holoscreen, images of 5 human girls, laughing, walking through prison corridors with zero fear, exchanging gadgets and codes, looped again and again. "What are they doing?" Grand Strategist Threll snapped, his spined head curling slightly downward in frustration. "That one just braided the guard's fur. Is this some sort of psychological tactic?" "No, Grand Strategist," responded Intelligence Director Grack. "We believe she was just bored." A silence, heavy and judgmental, fell across the room. And the operative asked Supreme Overseer Valrix, a being so genetically augmented his voice came out like rust over silk. The one who breached our flagship defenses, he goes by Captain Marcus Voss. Human Special Forces. No previous record in our databases. We are attempting to determine how he bypassed our surveillance nets. They walked into our warship, Valrix whispered. Like tourists. Threll turned to the projection again, which now showed a file marked with the Earth emblem, black and white, stylized with a quiet menace. A second transmission had arrived. A new video file titled simply, Follow Up. Play it, Valrix said. The file opened with Marcus Voss seated in what looked like a garden patio, sipping from a coffee mug that read World's Okayest Captain. Behind him, vague silhouettes of Earth operatives lounged casually, one reading a book, another sketching. They looked like college students on spring break, except the garden was inside a stolen Gentari hangar. Greetings, Voss said, polite chipper. I hope this message finds you well. I imagine things must be a bit stressful over there, what with your flagship being, let's say, reappropriated. He sipped his coffee, smiling. We're sending your guards back. Well, the conscious ones. The others are napping. Indefinitely. And please, don't rush to retaliate. There are humans crawling around inside your systems right now. You'd have to shut down half your planetary defenses to purge us. But by all means, give it a shot. The file ended with a logo that had never existed until now, a single, stylized fong over a globe. You see, Valrix muttered, voice tight, they mock us. They turn a military engagement into theater. And the worst part, Threll growled, is that they're so damned civil about it. The council fell into heated debate. Some pushed for immediate counterstrikes. Others, now gripped by a growing sense of dread, argued that doing so might be playing into human hands. The Gentari were not used to enemies who smiled before they bit. Meanwhile, back aboard the Gentari dreadnought, Marcus Voss leaned over a control panel with Sophia beside him. The daughter of Earth's most powerful tech magnate had rerouted the ship's internal comms to play calming whale songs, just for the psychological disruption. They're not built for unpredictability, Sophia said, tapping commands. Their logic branches are narrow, elegant but rigid. They built an empire on predictability, Voss muttered, watching a digital map of Gentari's security sectors flicker. So now we give them what they don't understand, chaos wearing a grin. Amira appeared at the doorway. Force fields are dropping in sequence. We've isolated 10 floors. Time until planetary defense sinks figured out. Voss asked. 17 minutes. Give or take. Voss stood. Plenty. The girls moved through the ship with eerie ease, each one contributing without ceremony. Chloe took point with Voss, her instincts leading them past tripwires and automated killboxes. Maya whispered in dead languages to confuse audio-sensitive sensors. Lexi monitored security patrols, predicting their movement with frightening precision, like she was listening to the rhythms of the ship itself. These girls aren't just hostages, muttered Voss during a lull. They're the real mission. Your orders were extraction, Chloe reminded him. He nodded. And extraction includes asset retrieval. I just didn't realize the assets were also the scalpel. Back in the council chamber, panic had begun to calcify into strategy. We should open negotiations, offered one elder, his voice unsteady. With humans. Threll barked. Valrix raised a long-fingered hand. Perhaps not negotiations, but a test of willingness. Send them a gesture of goodwill, something Earth values. And if they don't respond, then we send something they fear. Moments later, a ship left Gentari space carrying a cargo pod. Inside was a crate of gold-pressed water, rare spices, and a holobook of Gentari cultural archives. An offering, a peace pipe dressed in arrogance. It never reached Earth. Halfway through its jump, the ship vanished. No explosion, no signal, just gone. In Earth's war room, Halvorsen received a notification on his personal comm. He opened the message and nodded once, approving. What was it? The Prime Minister of Australia asked, watching him. They tried to send us a bribe, he said quietly. So we sent them a demonstration. He turned to General Hawthorne. Proceed. That same hour, across 17 different star systems, Gentari warships experienced untraceable power outages. Starport manifests vanished. Planetary markets crashed for 4 minutes before resuming. During that blackout, a small satellite orbiting Gentari Prime blinked on and beamed a message directly to every comm station in their territory. The image, 5 human girls smiling. The caption, they started with 5. We'll end with none. On the Gentari capital, chaos rippled like an earthquake. Not because of the image, but because no one knew how it got through. On the dreadnought, Amira laughed softly as she read the news. Public panic is trending, she said. We're viral. Good, Lexi replied, stretching. Now they'll be too distracted to block our exit. Voss raised a brow. Exit. Lexi grinned. I said I'd be home before curfew. Dad's already sent 3 ships and a lawyer. Maya looked up. We can't leave yet. Why not? She pointed to the console. We're still inside the game board, and they haven't even realized it's a trap. Voss blinked once. What trap? Sophia leaned forward. The one we built into their diplomacy AI 12 years ago. Silence passed between them. Your father's AI firm, Voss said slowly. The Gentari bought integration models from you. She nodded. And we sold them backdoors. Voss chuckled. So what happens when they trigger it? Sophia shrugged. They forget how to say yes. In the Gentari command chamber, alarms blared. We can't launch the diplomatic channels. One aide yelled. What do you mean you can't? The AI's response matrix is collapsing. Every time we try to send a message to Earth, it what? It plays jazz. Valrix stared at the screen. What kind of jazz? Experimental. 20th century Earth. Improvised. It's hurting the servers. Threll paced. They've weaponized music. No. They've weaponized culture. Voss looked at his crew. Time to leave them a goodbye kiss. Lexi tapped a command. A pulse spread through the ship, subtle, silent, and laced with recursive logic loops. It wouldn't destroy the dreadnought. It would make it start arguing with itself. Doors opened where walls had been. Lights pulsed in Morse code. A low, repeated phrase echoed across the entire vessel. Hello. I am experiencing an identity crisis. As the humans slipped away aboard their extraction shuttle, cloaked beneath the very systems they'd corrupted, Voss glanced out the viewport at the flickering Gentari dreadnought. Polite enough for you? He asked. Lexi smiled. Let's send them flowers. Black ones. Thorns optional. In the council chamber, Valrix stood in silence as all projections blinked out, one by one. Across the room, Threll finally spoke. They said they gave us 7 hours. Valrix's voice was tight. That was hour 7. The lights dimmed. Systems faltered. The room darkened under the slow weight of realization. And far, far above them, the human shuttle disappeared into the void, its course set for Earth, its cargo not just the rescued girls, but the start of something far worse. The shuttle cut through subspace like a whispered curse, silent and unseen, returning the 5 daughters of Earth to the homeworld that no longer resembled what they'd left. The girls had been gone less than 24 hours, but the planet below had shifted into something sharper, colder, more focused. The world they returned to wasn't waiting to negotiate. It was waiting to strike. In the landing bay of UNSC Command beneath Antarctica's ice sheet, armored vehicles rolled past snow-kissed steel. Rows of soldiers stood at attention, not for ceremony, but readiness. As the ramp lowered, the 5 girls stepped out, unshackled, upright, and fully in control. Captain Marcus Voss followed behind, eyes scanning for anomalies, weapon still unslung, but his posture rigid, relaxed in the way only apex predators ever were. Dr. Halvorsen approached with calm steps, the same disarming smile he wore in every press conference. But his eyes said war. Lexi moved first. Dad says hi, she said with a wink. He sent you a latte, Halvorsen replied without missing a beat, then turned to Voss. Casualties. Voss gave a shallow nod. 17 unconscious. 0 fatalities. All Gentari. Minimal property damage. Unless you count their dignity. And the virus? In place. Took root in less than 8 minutes. Half their ships are going to start asking philosophical questions by next Tuesday. Perfect, Halvorsen said, then addressed the girls. You understand the situation's escalated. Maya stepped forward. They don't realize how badly yet. Oh, Halvorsen replied, voice quiet and sharp, they will. The news broke 2 hours later, and it didn't break quietly. Across the galaxy, trading partners began pulling out of Gentari alliances. Border worlds lit up with unrest. A dozen star nations, long under the Empire's boot, suddenly found their courage and started poking old wounds. But that wasn't the main concern. The real problem was what Earth did next. With cold precision, the United Earth Command launched Operation Glass Lantern, not an invasion, not yet, but a demonstration. In 12 coordinated strikes, Earth's satellites delivered micron-scale payloads into Gentari civilian sectors. There were no explosions, no injuries, just one message left behind in every major plaza, etched into their most sacred monuments. You touched what is ours. Now we touch everything. The Gentari called an emergency summit. Every high warlord, strategist, and system governor attended. Most of them argued. Some of them trembled. And one of them, Admiral Grorvax, stood up and demanded a counterstrike. We burn one of their moons, he roared. We show strength. Fear holds empires together. To which Supreme Overseer Valrix replied without expression, and if they've already accounted for that, silence. They walked into our flagship, Valrix continued, touched every system we designed to keep them out, and walked out with their hostages, their secrets, and their weapons still clean. They used kindness like a scalpel. They didn't attack us, they dissected us. A young tactical analyst, Krell, cleared his throat. We could propose a ceasefire, frame it as mutual preservation. Valrix turned to the screen behind him, where live footage showed a new Earth construct being built just outside Saturn's orbit, Project Obsidian Halo. What is it? Someone asked. Unknown, Krell admitted. It went from blueprint to orbital deployment in 3 days. 3 days, barked Threll. Krell nodded. They've streamlined ship construction with nanomaterial weaving. We estimate 1 new vessel every 6 hours. And the specifications? Krell hesitated. Classified. We can't read their blueprints. It's all metaphor-based code. Valrix let out a long, low breath. They've moved beyond linear warfare. They're waging culture, concept, narrative. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Chloe stood on the training field, trading punches with 2 Special Forces recruits. She wasn't winning. She was dominating, smiling between hits, using minimal effort. She wasn't just tough. She was trained. 15-second takedown, Voss muttered to Halvorsen as they watched. She'll lead troops someday. Sooner than she thinks, Halvorsen replied. Elsewhere in the AI research bay, Sophia was finishing a patch to their linguistic virus, smuggling recursive emotional patterns into Gentari broadcast networks. If someone tried to suppress human information, they'd instead hear stories, coded tales with embedded algorithms designed to plant hesitation in strategic minds. Maya was quietly consulting with a team of diplomats, rewiring their cross-species negotiation protocols. She developed a new theory, that some galactic species were emotionally allergic to human sincerity. And Lexi? She was on a talk show, laughing casual magnetic. She told jokes about her captivity, mocked the guards who tried to impress her, and smiled with just enough mischief to terrify any analyst who knew how influence really worked. The girls weren't just survivors. They were weapons. Voss met with Halvorsen again that evening in a room so secure it hummed with energy dampeners. They both sat, neither quite relaxing. They underestimated our children, Voss said. They always do. You think they'll retaliate? Halvorsen leaned forward. They're still deciding if we're real. Voss blinked. Come again. Most galactic empires rise on control, calculation, logic. We break that mold. We're chaos wrapped in empathy. Warfare in lullabies. We smile while we set traps. To them, that's not war. That's horror. There was a pause. Then Halvorsen asked, do we have confirmation on Project Solstice? Deployment in 16 hours. Target. Halvorsen said nothing. Instead, he handed Voss a file. On the cover, the symbol of the Gentari Empire. Inside, a single phrase. Make them ask if the war already ended. And they just forgot. The Gentari finally acted. They deployed 10 fleets toward Earth's outer territories. A show of strength. The message was clear. We haven't blinked yet. But Earth didn't blink either. Instead, a single human ship intercepted the lead Gentari fleet. One corvette. Small. Lightly armored. No visible weapons. The fleet opened comms to demand surrender. The corvette transmitted coordinates and nothing else. The Gentari laughed. Then they looked. The coordinates led to their homeworld, their throne city, their private data vault. Earth had mapped everything. Every corridor, every officer's name, every security loop. The fleet stopped. They turned around. Back on Earth, the 5 girls gathered in a small, quiet room. There were no commanders, no cameras, just them. Lexi broke the silence. So what now? Now, Amira said, they adapt or they break. We never meant for it to go this far, Maya murmured. No, Chloe said. But we were ready when it did. Sophia looked up. We didn't just survive them. We made them watch us evolve. Outside, the stars glittered like teeth in a dark smile. Somewhere out there, the Gentari Empire stood at the edge of something it didn't understand. Not fear, not war, humanity. And for the first time in millennia, the galaxy whispered a new question. What happens when the prey teaches itself to hunt? The Gentari Empire did not fall in fire or fury. It unraveled in silence. The collapse began not with a battle, but with a broadcast, subtle, surgical, and devastating. At precisely 3 o'clock Galactic Central Time, every Gentry-controlled screen flickered and shifted. No fanfare, no anthem, just an image. 5 young human women sitting calmly in a garden beneath Earth's sky. They weren't armed. They weren't angry. They were laughing, smiling. And the caption read, "We waited for you to strike first. Thank you." Inside the Imperial Citadel, Valrix stared at the projection in utter disbelief. His advisors scrambled, searching for the source, but the signal didn't come from any known planetary system. It pulsed through infrastructure that predated their own star maps, traveling in encrypted frequencies buried beneath their communication layers. A technological ghost. They planned this, he whispered, from the beginning. Behind him, strategist Threll broke composure. You said they were too young, too emotional, too human. Valrix turned slowly. Exactly. That's what made them invisible. While they scrambled to decrypt the transmission, Earth's final move was already in motion. At the edge of Gentari territory, a long-dormant station powered up. Not one of Earth's warships. Not even a fleet. Just a lone automated platform left behind during what the Gentari once dismissed as a failed trade mission. A forgettable diplomatic satellite with a handshake protocol. The Empire had let it connect with over 300 of its systems. They hadn't realized the satellite was the key. Within seconds, a cascade of programmed commands activated. Not a virus. No, something far more refined. A belief. A mimetic blueprint that rewrote every Gentari data Constructa touched, causing defense systems to recognize themselves as hostile entities. AI logistics froze, questioning the ethics of planetary control. Tactical drones began requesting asylum from their own creators. Earth had given them the gift of doubt. Meanwhile, in Earth's secure command center, Captain Marcus Voss stood in front of the war room table, his expression unreadable. A projection of Gentari Prime flickered, gradually going dark sector by sector. They never saw it coming, said Chloe, arms crossed, armor still scuffed from the last operation. They never knew it already had. Amira murmured from behind a wall of cascading code. Maya entered, holding a datapad. It's spreading faster than predicted. Their own systems are doing most of the work. That's what guilt does, Sophia said, half amused, half sad. Makes things fall apart faster than any bomb ever could. Halvorsen walked into the room with that same calm, that same disarming warmth. But this time, no one mistook it for kindness. He approached the center console, touched the glass screen, and watched a Gentari cruiser float silently in orbit, motionless. "They'll send one last signal," he said softly. "An attempt to surrender. Should we accept it?" Voss asked. Halvorsen's pause was long. Too long. Then, "Not yet." Back in the Imperial Citadel, a final emergency council was summoned. The Empress herself, unseen by the galaxy for decades, appeared. Her presence was commanding, towering, ethereal. She did not shout. She whispered. "Where are our weapons?" she asked. "Offline." "Our satellites?" "Turning against us." "Our allies?" "Watching." The Empress stared into the void, the silence eating at her. "Why didn't we strike harder? Sooner?" Threll didn't respond. Because deep down he knew. The humans had been smiling the whole time. That wasn't a bluff. That was the signal that the blade had already been drawn. Gentari military commanders attempted to retaliate. Some ordered rogue fleets to attack human colonies. None made it past the threshold. Because Earth had already mined the routes. Not with explosives, but with false stars, navigational illusions that lured ships into perpetual orbit or gravitational traps. One fleet drifted in circles for 18 hours before realizing they were chasing a planet that didn't exist. Elsewhere, former Gentari colonies began declaring independence. Not out of rebellion, but because Earth's message had awakened something terrifying and inspiring. If humans could dismantle an empire with 5 young women and a smile, maybe the rest of the galaxy didn't need fear to govern, either. Inside the UNSC war room, the girls sat together for the first time since their return. No uniforms. No cameras. Just them. Lexi leaned forward. "Do they know it was us?" "No," Amira replied. "They think it was Voss." "Halvorsen. A Black Ops unit." "Good," Lexi said. "We're not done yet." Sophia nodded. "The infrastructure's collapsing, but the people, they still think like prisoners." Maya looked up. "Then we need to free them, too." Voss stepped in, overhearing. "That's not your job." Lexi met his gaze. "It was never just about us, was it?" "No," Voss admitted. "It was about the message." "And what message did we send?" Chloe asked. Halvorsen entered, hands clasped, voice quiet. "That humanity," he said, "doesn't bark. We bite. But only when provoked. Only when you take something we love." They all looked to the main screen again, where the final message from the Gentari Empress arrived. It was barely a signal. No encryption. No royal seal. Just a voice, frayed at the edges. "We surrender," she whispered. And for a moment, the room fell silent. Then Halvorsen tilted his head. "Play the final file." A simple audio clip echoed through the chamber. Recorded hours earlier. Lexi's voice. "Remember this. We smiled the whole time. You mistook that for weakness." The Empress's voice trembled. "What do you want?" Halvorsen turned to the girls. "You decide." Maya stepped forward. "We don't want your planets." Sophia added, "We don't want your treasures." Amira spoke next. "We don't want revenge." Chloe stood. "We want them to remember." Lexi smiled last. "And we want them to fear the idea of forgetting." The message was sent. Across the galaxy, the Gentari Empire went dark. Not destroyed, but emptied. Systems abandoned. Fleets recalled. A ghost nation retreating from the universe it once ruled, unsure of how it lost to a species still categorized as emerging. Because the trap hadn't been the virus, or the strike team, or even the war. The trap had been hope. Humanity had let the Gentari believe they were safe for decades. Had traded with them, studied them, smiled at them in meetings, and laughed at their jokes. All while planning for the day they crossed the line. 5 daughters had been taken. 1 empire was given back in return, broken and bleeding. At the edge of Earth's orbit, a monument was placed aboard the first interstellar diplomatic station. No weapons. No defenses. Just a plaque. It read, "We are a patient species, but not a forgiving one." And somewhere in the black, a child of the Gentari Empire whispered to her mother, "Are the humans real?" Her mother only shivered, because the answer was yes. And they had teeth.